Smokin Mo here. We're going to talk about trimming a brisket. So what we've got here is a 12-pounder today. Nice fat cap on the back. A lot of fat running through the meat here. So this is going to be a very nice brisket when we're done with it. So what we have here is a beef brisket. This is called a full packer. So if you go down to your butcher and ask them for a packer brisket, this is what you're going to get. You're going to have a point or a decal, they call it, on one end, and the other end will be the flat. So there's actually two big muscles here separated by a fat cap. So what we're going to do today is pull the fat pockets out of this brisket. We'll trim all the silver skin, which is all this skin you see on top, a lot of the fat that's on the top, and this big hard pocket of fat also. The bottom section we won't worry about too much unless we get into a little bit of this, but the more fat that's on the bottom of your brisket, the nice and tender and moist it's going to stay while it's cooking. That's why I always mention fat side down whenever we're cooking brisket, because all your heat comes from the bottom on your smokers, and it packs heat on the back and the bottom of this brisket all day long. And the last thing you want, if you're meat side down, you're going to be drying out the strings of meat that are in this thing, and next thing you know, when you're trying to cut across this flat, you're going to have chunks breaking off of that, okay? So we'll get into that more in a minute. So what we'll do right now is we'll take our 6-inch knife and kind of pull back on this little fat cap here, and I just kind of start working my way down until I can get it, and I pull it, and you can see how it starts to separate. And believe me, there's no two briskets that are the same. Every one of these are a little bit different. So you just kind of take your time and start getting down in the meat, and then I'll pull this a little bit more. And that fat pocket actually didn't go as deep as I thought, which is a good thing. So we'll work on that a little bit more, but oh, that's very soft. That's soft fat in there. A lot of that'll render down. So we've gotten that first little fat pocket out of this side. Now what we'll do is I'm kind of just feeling around to see where the other fat pockets are. I feel one right in there, and I feel another one right in here. So let's go down and see if we can dig this one out between the point here. Okay, so we've gotten the fat pocket out of the pretty much around the point here. We didn't have a whole lot of fat in there, which is not typical, but we've got a little pocket back in here. We'll just kind of take your knife edge down in there and just kind of pull at the same time, and you'll see those strains coming up through this meat. You can see how that's doing that. And I'm going to flip this knife over and kind of come out of the side. And yeah, not a whole lot of action there, so we'll flip this down. Like I say, your hands get very close back around this knife, and you just want to make sure your fingertips are up and pulling up as you're cutting this meat, and you'll stay in pretty good shape. Now we've got a whole bunch of just ugly skin here. We're going to pull a lot of that back right now. And then what I'll usually do is I'll take my chef's knife and all this kind of gray skin here and meat, I'll just kind of take a first 1/4 inch off of that. And you can see you get down to that real nice meat on the side. And we'll do that all the way around. Okay, our last corner here. And I'm going to work this little inside section just a couple more times. That was it right there. So there you have it, guys. Now we've trimmed the big fatty pocket out of here. We've trimmed the edges. And I'm not going to work on the backside too much because it's not that thick. So there's a good 1/4 inch trim right there, and that's what we recommend leaving on for when you're smoking. But what you have now are 2 sections of meat. This is your point. With all this, you're going to make your burn ends out of this. So later on when we talk about making burn ends, You'll cut this right across this edge, remove this piece after it's cooked, lay that flat back down, and then you can put your flat away in its foil and put it away till you're ready to slice the meat. A couple things we want to look at are the silver skin. So we kind of put our hand under here and get this bulging, and you can start peeling that silver skin back. What happens here, if you don't get all this silver skin and fat off the top of this flat, your rub will not penetrate down in the meat. It'll just sit on top of the silver skin for 3 or 4 hours. Then when you go to wrap it, a lot of that will just fall off, and so you won't get any flavor down in your meat. So it's real important. It takes about an extra 10 minutes, but well worth the time. One thing to remember with beef brisket, it's a big cut of meat, but don't be intimidated by it, because if you cook it for the right temperature, the right time, and the right amount of injection and the right rub, this will come out like any beef brisket, a lot better than anything you can buy at any restaurant. Let's put it that way. It just takes a little bit of a little time to get used to cooking something this big. So you can see this one's trimming up really nice. And this point right here, you can see a lot of fat still remaining. There's a lot of fat that's in your point, and that's why a point will typically be complete an hour before the flat, because all this fat will render down faster than the meat itself, okay? So a lot of times we'll take this point off an hour, separate it of cooking time, and then just throw that nice point in with some barbecue sauce into a little aluminum pan, barbecue sauce, put some foil on it, throw it back on the smoker, and just let it render all that fat down with some sauce. It turns out really, really good. Now, if you take a look at the meat, how you can see the grain is going this way. Whenever you cut a brisket after it's cooked, you want to cut it against the grain, because what will happen is that meat will separate real nicely. If you were to cut it with the grain, you ever eat meat that's very stringy? That's because somebody cut it this way. So what we're going to do is I'll typically take a little notch right here off the end of that brisket. Just take that piece right there, throw some rub on it, put it on the fire while you're cooking this thing, and about 3-4 hours in, there's another little tidbit you get to try. It'll tell you how much smoke is on your brisket at the time. It'll tell you how much rub is on the brisket at the time. So if you're getting too much smoke, that may be the time to take this thing and wrap it, okay? So there's a couple little tricks you can do to figure out with these little pieces of meat that are left over. But I think I'm pretty happy with this one. So again, you've got your point and you've got your flat. We'll separate that point after about 8 hours, 9 hours. Put it into aluminum foil, cut it into 1-inch cubes, and then your flat will just stay just like it is. When it comes off the smoker, after you let it rest for about a half hour, this thing will be ready to go. Thanks for joining us today. This is Smokin Mo saying, smoke on, guys.